Every year, the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences Rocky Mountain Chapter awards Emmys to the year's most deserving television productions. Over the decades, Arizona Wildlife Views has been honored with 15 Emmys in 6 categories. Come with us tonight and revisit some of those winning programs. First up, did you know that Arizona Wildlife Views won the first Emmy given to any state employee? The year was 1987, and the award was the public service announcement. Access is shrinking.
Access to Arizona's wild lands is shrinking. Shrinking due to abuses by people who use them. Is this the price that's got to be paid for littering, vandalism, and other thoughtless acts? It's time to protect Arizona's natural beauty and outdoor heritage for future generations. Arizona, there's no other place like it. Help ensure the continued access of Arizona's wild lands.
The long dry spell between awards was finally broken in 2004 when producer and show host Chuck Emmert won for his program segment, Mr. Whiskers.
This is a story about a truck, a big cat-powered truck, especially designed to haul catfish, and a story about the men who drive it, loaded to the gills with fresh, healthy, farm-bred stockers for the Arizona Game and Fish Department's Urban Lake Fishing Program for city lakes in Phoenix and Tucson.
Great. I can't believe how many they put in.
See them still coming out? Look at the size of those fish.
The man in charge of keeping the lake stocked for the Arizona Game and Fish Department is Eric Swanson. His crews are there every time a truck shows up to ensure the fish we get are the right size and the best quality. But getting the fish here is no easy task and involves a lot of coordination between our guys in the truck and a man in Arkansas who single-handedly raises the catfish we find in our urban lakes.
We're very proud that we have a program, that we have a quality fish, that people, instead of having to travel far distance away, can find quality, safe, healthy fish right in their backyards.
The fish farm business thrives in Waldenburg, Arkansas. This is a mostly rural, wide-open part of the country, perfectly suited to the raising of fish. The climate and open land have spawned an industry that not only supplies catfish, but minnows and other bait fish as well.
3 different sizes out there.
Here we meet Darrell White, foreman at the Lone Wolf Farm. In Darrell's neck of the woods, there are about 100,000 catfish for every one human being.
Close to 1.5 head.
2005 was a banner year for the show, with 6 Emmys in 3 categories. Up first, the beautiful and haunting lighting used in Legends of the Owl won an Emmy for producer Gary Schaefer.
In the deep, dark forests of what is now called Eastern Canada, there once lived a large and powerful owl. This creature became proud and haughty and claimed that his voice was louder than a mighty waterfall. The other animals listened as the owl tried to roar over the rushing water. The Great Spirit also heard and decided that something had to be done. To teach all the animals a lesson about pride, the Great Spirit miniaturized the bird and gave him a voice like dripping rather than cascading water. We now know this bird as a northern saw-whet owl. Northern saw-whet owls occur in Arizona's dense mixed conifer forests and nest in old woodpecker holes, particularly those of red-shafted flickers. These owls eat small mammals and insects, and observers hear the flute-like song of this small forest sprite far more often than they hear the rasping call the species was named for. Throughout history and across many cultures, people have held owls in fascination and awe. Few other creatures have so many different and contradictory beliefs about them. Owls have been both feared and venerated, despised and admired, considered wise and foolish, and associated with medicine, birth, and death. A lot of superstitions associated with owls can still be found today. We Apaches believe dreaming of an owl signifies approaching death. According to Navajo legend, the Creator told the owl after creating it, "In days to come, men will listen to your voice to know what will be their future." The Hopi see the burrowing owl as their god of the dead, the guardian of fires and tender of all underground things, including seed germination. Their name for the burrowing owl is Koko, which means watcher of the dark. The Hopi also believe that great horned owls help their peaches grow. California Nuix believed that after death, the brave and virtuous become great horned owls. The wicked, however, were doomed to become barn owls. Today, most people realize that owls are not evil regardless of how they sound, as they screech, scream, talk, laugh, or hoot in the hours of darkness. We also know that even though they look wise and regal, they are not particularly intelligent. Still, even in these enlightened times, the eerie call of an owl in the stillness of the night can still make the skin crawl and bring back half-forgotten memories of the dark beliefs you heard in childhood. There once was a couple that had a very beautiful but snobby daughter. Afraid that his daughter's snobbiness would anger the elders, the father proclaimed that any young man that could spit on his fire and make it blaze could have his daughter's hand in marriage. Great Horned Owl had fallen in love with the girl, so he changed himself into a handsome young hunter and went to the family's lodge. Once inside, he used his magic and fulfilled the father's decree. The couple was soon married. The girl woke one night and gazed at her husband. With much alarm, she realized that the long horned-shaped feathers poked out from his head and that his eyes were opened slightly, glowing yellow. She screamed and ran from the lodge and back to her parents. The Great Horned Owl was furious to have lost his wife. Now the Great Horned Owl's aunt was a powerful sorceress who had a magic flute that Great Horned Owl could use on his wife. So Great Horned Owl waited for his chance with the magic flute. Suddenly he saw his one true love coming through the forest. The Great Horned Owl began playing his magic flute, and the forest was filled with the most beautiful, bewitching music. "I could never resist the player of such incredible music," thought the girl. Then the Great Horned Owl swooped silently off his perch and swept the girl up very gently in his huge talons. He carried her off to the village of the owls, and there she eventually became used to being married to the Great Horned Owl.
Also, in 2005, Chuck Emmert, Carol Lind, and Gary Schaefer accepted Emmys for their program, They Almost Got Away. In another collaborative effort, this time with Chris Parrish of the Peregrine Fund, producer Chuck Emmert won an Emmy for their story about California condors entitled Curious as a Raven.
You are looking through a porthole back in time, just like it was over 10,000 years ago. The air, the land, and this soaring, majestic creature gliding through the skies, cutting the winds with effortless ease. It's the California condor, an animal native to this unforgiving land. This scene really could have been witnessed by our ancestors so many eons ago, but in reality, this is happening now, in and around the Grand Canyon. It's a simple picture, really. The land, the air, and of course the bird. But keeping it intact is very complex in this modern era and requires diligent attention from a variety of concerned people and groups. This is a story about one part of this bigger picture, the California condor. You have to respect this bird for its size alone. The California condor is the largest flying land bird in North America. It can weigh up to 25 pounds and have a wingspan of nearly 10 feet. Flight speeds can reach 50 miles per hour, and they may travel 200 miles a day in search of food. The condor is an opportunistic scavenger, which means it will eat whatever dead animal it's lucky enough to find. Back in prehistoric times, this meant mastodons and saber-toothed cats. Nowadays, they feed on deer, elk, bighorn sheep, range cattle, and horses. Think of them as nature's housekeepers, ridding the landscape of dead animals.
Producer Carol Lind led the charge in 2006 with her environment feature about the decommissioning of a dam on Fossil Creek.
With the opening of this old gate, one chapter in Arizona history ended and another began when Arizona Public Service discontinued operations at 2 historic hydroelectric plants and allowed natural water flows to resume their journey down 14 miles of Fossil Creek.
It's an amazing thing that's happening in our state today. Water and riparian systems of this magnitude we just don't have. It's an amazing day and one that I won't see again in my lifetime, but I'm really glad to be here today. There's just nothing like it.
But the journey to this day began a long time ago. The Irving and Childs power plants were Arizona's first commercial hydroelectric power plants. Located in a remote area between Strawberry and Camp Verde, they were considered engineering marvels when they were built almost 100 years ago. The plants played an important role in central Arizona's growth, powering the booming mining operations of Jerome and the Bradshaw Mountains, and later energizing the growing communities of Prescott and Phoenix. Fast forward to 1999, when APS, along with its many partners, reached an agreement that would lead to the decommissioning of the 2 plants and the restoration of full flows back to Fossil Creek.
Back when we were relicensing the facility in the early 90s, part of that is there's an environmental review process. And during that period of time, there was a number of environmental groups that came and approached APS while we were trying to relicense the facility to try and convince us that it would be in the best interest of the people of the state of Arizona if we would just restore the stream back to its natural channel.
APS decided the environmental and public value of restoring Fossil Creek outweighed the value of continued operation of the plants.
At one point, Arizona Public Service decided that this project wasn't producing enough hydropower. It wasn't making that tremendous of a profit. It was still a profitable enterprise, but that they could do some good things for the biological community and for ecosystem restoration, and they determined that it would be in their best interests and in the interests of the fishes and the other components of the ecosystem to decommission the project and pull out from this stream and return the full flows to the stream.
But restoring full flows to Fossil Creek meant more than just shutting down the plants and opening the spigot. It also involved a major native fish restoration project that took years to plan and a huge cooperative effort among several state and federal agencies.
This is probably one of the greatest projects I will ever work on in my entire life. This is the kind of project we all dream about doing.
We became involved basically when it came to the Native Fish Project. We helped with our partners from Bureau of Reclamation, the U.S. Forest Service, a lot of NGOs, sportsmen and angler groups to put the project together. Instrumental in that was the building of the native fish barrier downstream, which then would allow non-native fish, would not allow them to come upstream.
Not to be outdone, producer Chuck Emmert also won in the Environment Feature category with Alien Cleanup.
We're a short distance from the Mexican border near Sassabee, Arizona. The early morning sun splashes the mountains here with a golden light. These grasslands are prime for outdoor recreation, and sportsmen have been granted access by ranchers in the area for their pursuits. But the close proximity of the border has raised some issues that threaten the land and the wildlife that inhabit it. Following a well-worn trail a ways back into the foothills reveals an incredible sight. It's a trash dump about the size of a football field. The ground is covered with refuse, 3 feet thick in spots. Closer inspection reveals piles of clothing, backpacks, and food. It doesn't take long to figure out where all this stuff came from.
I see illegal aliens every day. If I don't see the aliens, I see fresh tracks.
Gabriel Paz is a wildlife manager with the Arizona Game and Fish Department.
It's about 5 miles from the closest community, and it's a good maybe 3-hour hike. So what they do here is they dump the rest of their trash, the stuff they don't need, consolidate all their waters into one container so they don't have to carry as many containers, and then just leave everything behind that they won't need for the trip.
Looking around reveals fresh evidence of recent border crossings. Unspoiled food, backpacks are everywhere. A few scavenger birds could be seen circling overhead, and a Border Patrol helicopter came by to check us out. But what we didn't see was any wildlife in this area.
Where it really hurts the wildlife is some of the watering sources. Because if these people are sitting on the water sources, camping out on watering sources, then the wildlife aren't going to want to drink there anymore, and they may have to move to other areas. And of course, every water out here is being used by undocumented aliens.
There are no federal or state agencies given the task to clean up these sites, so they remain. Each night, as the sun brings a blaze of glory to the western sky, they remain an ugly scar on this pristine land.
Once again in 2007, Carol and Gary shared the podium for a program that took a sneak peek at snakes and other reptiles.
That's worth the whole trip just to see that one.
Yeah, you gotta wonder what brings grown men out into the desert on a weekend just to huddle around a rock.
Easy guys, easy guys. It'll be tough getting in though, I can tell that already. Oh, look at that. Yeah. Oh, okay, this is cool.
Okay, time to let everybody see what's happening here.
It's a young female.
Yeah, a young female rattlesnake. Okay, I guess that's kind of cool, as long as she's in there and we're out here. But really, what's the big deal?
This is unprecedented for studies of rattlesnakes. Is actually getting images of them in their dens.
He's like checking
this
out.
This takes really good technology to get back there. So we're very, very pleased to get these kinds of images.
These researchers are using a small, high-tech, half-inch square color video camera with a separate light source.
The light source is a pair of LEDs that we kind of fabricated ourselves. We put some LEDs onto a little printed circuit board so it's really small, and we could pass it in independently of the camera to provide lighting for the camera.
Yeah, the light's a little to the sides.
The camera, LEDs, and recorder are powered by small 12-volt batteries so that everything is portable for use in the field. Nothing like a little seat-of-the-pants creativity to get the job done.
We have them, both the camera and the LEDs, taped to a very high-tech coat hanger to poke back into this crevice.
The Rube Goldberg.
Hey, we used official gaffer's tape. Come on.
Well, official or not, just make sure she doesn't decide to come out. So, Bruce, what do you see in there?
I see an adult diamondback looking straight at me. You can actually see the heat-sensing.
Oh, a tongue flick. Look at that. Yoo-hoo!
Yep.
Oh, look at that. Isn't that sharp?
You can see the eye.
Right there. You can see the eye now.
Oh, jeez.
You can see the pore. That pore is huge using this camera. And then you've got the right eye looking at you. And you got those kind of bony coverings on the eye to protect it. You can see his eye his left and his right eye kind of up on top of the head, but those two holes right in front of the right and left-hand side of the face are the heat-sensing sensors.
Well, those holes are called L'Oreal pits and are used to detect heat put off by their prey.
All right.
As well as potential predators.
Now this is nice. This is
extremely nice.
Is wonderful. All right, guys.
We're in the upper Sonoran Desert just north of Tucson, not too far east of Picacho Peak. Led by biologist Gordon Schuett, they're studying the spatial ecology of western diamondbacks, what they eat, and how they spend their time throughout the year.
We're also collecting data on genetics. One of the fascinating things about denning is that it does not appear to be used to avoid inclement weather or cold weather in this particular case. So the reason for denning needs to be explained in the Sonoran Desert, say different from that of rattlesnake populations in more cold climates, where clearly getting to a den is important for survival. Here it's not essential.
They're only 5 years into the study, and already some interesting observations have been made, including how the sexes utilize dens differently, including the observation that females often prefer small rodent and mammal dens over rock crevices.
In the males, however, they tend to be more gregarious, and in the case of the den behind us here, we know of at least 7 to 8 males that consistently use this den or show high fidelity to it. Thus, we are interested in the possibility that there might be a social structure undiscovered at this point that reflects perhaps close kinship, brothers, other family types of units.
Carol finished the year with a win in the public affairs category for her segment which explained why it's bad to keep an alligator as a pet, entitled Later Gator.
This was the scene on April the 17th, 2005, when a Department of Public Safety officer pulled over a truck and trailer with a broken taillight near Casa Grande. The officer's dash-mounted camera was recording when he searched the trailer and discovered something alive and with big teeth.
Oh my God!
What he found inside was this, and this, and these.
Once the DPS officer got inside the trailer and started poking around, he found an abundance of different kinds of animals. He had rabbits, cats in cages, chickens in cages. When the DPS officer looked through some of the smaller crawl spaces and some of the plastic boxes the subject had, he noticed that the individual had a whole bunch of alligators as well.
The total count? 32 alligators and 3 desert tortoises, all of which are illegal to possess in Arizona without a special permit. So the animals were confiscated and moved to this facility run by the Phoenix Herpetological Society. They'll care for them there until the courts can decide what to do with them.
So we'll have to hold them as evidence until they give us disposition on the case. If they end up being permanently seized, which, you know, it kind of looks like it's going to be that way, we'll be doing some direct contact with some zoos. See if they, you know, since we have such huge disparities in sizes, we can tell them, you know, we've got quite a bit that we can give them, and hopefully we'll get some of them placed like that.
The Herpetological Society cares for unwanted, abandoned, or seized reptiles of every shape and size. Currently, they are housing about 400 of these creatures. It's a volunteer organization looking to do what is best for the animals. Caring for them is a lot of work.
Their life here was better than any place it would have been here, and I'm not taking away from anything, but, you know, that's all we do is the reptiles. We had some with some medical needs, and, you know, there's not a whole lot of people that are going to jump on an alligator and give it a shot.
Now, fast forward to a year later, it's 2006. 20 of the seized gators are heading for a new home, an educational facility in Florida.
They're going to Bushnell, Florida, to a place called Crocodile Creek, which is a educational facility that's run by David Day. We've checked him out with Florida Game and Fish, and Arizona Game and Fish has verified he has all his licenses. He does handle some crocodilians. He's very excited about getting these guys. Why somebody in Florida needs alligators, I couldn't tell you.
You know, everything just looks wonderful now. They're all fat. They've got these big, heavy tails at the bases, a little bit of swelling that looks just the way they should, and heavy flesh around the neck. That's always a sign of that they're in good shape. These animals look far better than we brought them in, and that's generally the case when we deal with these guys. They do an excellent job of husbandry.
You know, for these guys and gals that come in and do this, it's really something. You know, trying to talk somebody into going into a cage with a 9-foot alligator, you know, that's not an easy task. You got to have a really certain type of mindset that, you know, an alligator's going to be an alligator, and I've got to just be smarter than something with the brain the size of a pea.
For more information about anything you've seen on tonight's program, go to our website, azgfd.gov.